Greetings Space Cadets and welcome back for another Minecraft survival episode. In today's episode we're going to build our kelp farm, which we're going to connect to our Super Smelter. Or in actual fact we've actually already done it. I've been a bit ill this week, so I've actually made half of it already. We're starting off behind our base this time, so you can see the tower here. Here's the rail that goes into the canal, but you'll see there's a little hidden door if we jump down to the water. And if we open this hatch, down we go. You can hear the water inside there. And here we are in our kelp farm. Now I've already constructed half of this. As I said, I was ill and I just wanted to do something on Minecraft just to pass the time. But we have this side here that we're going to build. Now this is an incredibly efficient model. I've based the design off a cub fan design that I was watching on Hermitcraft last week, and it produces a phenomenal amount of kelp. More actually than what the system can handle that we've set in here. But I'll give you a little tour of what we built, and then we'll get on with the system. You'll also see as well that because of how much it is, I've had to put a little alarm system in so that we know when it's full. But we'll get to that in a moment. First of all, I'll show you what the basic modules are in our kelp farm. If we just hop down here. So the kelp farm just consists of basically just a couple of blocks. So we have a kelp which can be placed on any block. So in our case, to save space, we're going to place them on top of the observers. And then there's got an empty spot for it to grow, a second slot for it to grow, and then when it grows up to the height of the observer, this gets a signal, puts a signal into the redstone line, which will activate all of the pistons that, as far as the redstone can carry it. And that will just keep producing. It'll keep flowing up and it'll go into the hoppers and it'll carry it off into the system. And I'll show you what happens after that before we actually get on to the build. Let's go up here for a moment. Now you see here that I've labelled it as kelp buffer. What happens as well when the buffer is full, so when we've got a phenomenal amount, if we just scroll down, jump down here, all of the pistons get locked into the active position so that nothing else can grow. We're getting stuck. So we'll just swim back up here. And that is just simply to stop the system, because otherwise this unfortunately has produced a massive amount of lag. But we have an absolute crazy amount. In fact, I'll just get my calculations up. So when this kelp buffer is active, so when the alarm is active and the system shuts off, you see they've got a set of... Actually, we'll scroll down a bit here a moment. First of all, we have this set of chests here, which I had originally just put in was going to be temporary, just because whilst I was building the next system, which, if you remember from our last episode in the creative world, this is our full box flusher. So the idea is when this box is full, it sends a signal through the system, and it allows all the minecarts underneath there to very quickly flush this out. However, this produces so much kelp that the lag was causing the system not to fire. So it was a case of when this observer was getting pushed out, the lag was not causing an update here, so this was not getting triggered. So I've actually had to sever that, and so this was not getting triggered. And then when it came to shut it down, it went into like a fit of this going back and forth a couple of times before it would eventually settle underneath here anyway. But because it's producing so much, we have it all backed up. There was no point, so we just had to put an alarm system in. Actually, let's go through this door here. You can see here, this is what it looks like as well, a completed line. And these sections here are what energise the line if the system has become completely full and will stop any more from going in. But when this is at capacity and this top box here is full, it sends the redstone signal. Can we see it through here? You can just see the circuitry back there. When that is full, the entire system has 73,152 kelps to be smelted. Now, obviously, we do need a lot of kelp to, like the dried kelp, to actually cook all of this in our smelter. I'll just hop up to our base for a moment, and I did this for I let the system run for a couple of hours, and I manually managed all of the kelp going in. If we can get across there. You also see as well there is a kelp alarm up here. For the sake of our sanity, I've put a switch up here just to lock the kelp buffer alarm, because when the kelp buffer's full, we get a little alarm going off. Just going to shut that off there. But I let this go for a couple of hours, and I was able to get all of these stacks of fuel, so we're not going to be having any issue for fuel anytime soon. The dried kelp also comes through here where we can collect it, and in our smelting room, this whole side here is rigged to accept the kelp to be dried, and this is what we use to flick it on, but we're not going to flick that on just yet. We're going to go back downstairs, and I'm going to show you a little bit more of how the system works and what's going on. So back to what we were saying. The kelp comes up here once it's harvested. It'll come up here on that side, goes into the hopper chain in the middle. It then flows down here to where, if it wasn't for the lag, this system would only drop a box at a time. We'll get to that little passageway there in a moment. So if we go down here, you'll see here is all of our mine carts, and each of these are full. I've actually, just for the fun of it, I've let these overspill boxes fill as well, so it's actually even more than what I had told you in the calculations there. But if we go down here, you see that this buffer is full. All of these hoppers, in fact, because there was so much coming through, I added a second hopper line to here as well, so that we could shoot everything up to the super smelter here. See, but all of these boxes here, every single one of them is completely full. You see, all this is continuously pushing everything up here. We've got a little circuit here which is going to extend out the pulse when it gets to the last couple of items. We do have a switch here as well which will override it as well. But now, as you can see here, the kelp comes all the way up this chute. We'll get all the way to the top of here. So here we are at the top of the shaft here. You can see it's trying to push everything up, but at least it's nice and silent. All of these are full, all of those are full, and everything is full to this point here. And this here is where that switch is in our super smelter. We've made a couple of modifications in here to try and resolve some of the issues with the timing, because when I was doing it manually and I had the system flushing through all those other blocks, things were getting rather crazy. So what I've actually done is I've taken these chests and I've turned them sideways, so we've still got the double chest capacity, but we don't have the issue of two items potentially dropping down at any one time. Only one item is going to drop during a single like Minecraft click or whatever they're called. Because before, when I had them lengthways, I think that's what was causing part of the backlog. I've also just extended out the redstone on here by one block. That seems to have resolved nearly all the timing issues, but we'll keep on investigating until it's perfect. One issue though that still exists is when the final items are finished and the kelp system is done, this one here still has one above it. But I can live with just this one furnace having something above it. Same again on this side, because I've done the exact same thing to the other side. This one here, this furnace doesn't get its last item. But we do have a system to flush that, so I'm not overly concerned, as long as it's always going to be just that one. And each of the tests that I've done is worked out perfectly with just that one if I've put multiple stacks in. So let's hop downstairs and we'll see what we need to build it. I should say this has been an insanely expensive project. We have nothing left. We have lost all of our diamond tools. The only thing we've really got left are these ones that we don't use anymore, because this is too expensive to repair at the moment. And our silk touch, which I only take out if we're going on long adventures. We've used up all of our diamonds just about as well, because we needed a lot of redstone. This is all of our redstone that we have left now. We've used all the reserves that I had here, all of our equipment. We have no wood really to speak of, just a few bits in here. I know there is quite a large bit here, but that spruce wood is being saved for a project that we're going to do in a couple of weeks. and we did have a few more boxes of cobble, but we've used up quite a few boxes of cobble in this. In fact, let's get up the calculations for what you actually need for this. We'll dip downstairs, and I'll show you the dimensions before we get building. Right, so down here, each of these sections in our design is 50 long. So we have in total 100 if we count the second side that we're going to build now. Each of these has 6 sets of these modules. It's probably easier to see if we have a look over here. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 6 sets of those. So that's potential for 600 kelp blocks. Plus as well, you get technically 2 per that as well if it was working at 100% efficiency. But this thing produces so much so fast that we're going to fill that buffer really, really quickly, which is why we've had to put it in there, just because it's just insane the amount of kelp that it puts out so quickly. And once we get the second module, it's going to be even quicker. I should say as well, for our experiment, I have as well filled all of these going along as well, so there's even more again currently in the system. As in, with this being 50 long, I'll show you just how much. I mean, I have here everything we need to build the second module. You'll also notice as well that I have soul sand in here. There is a bug in the Bedrock edition that allows us to create water source blocks from flowing blocks, and it saves us having to fill this whole space with water. We can actually do it in just by filling in these source blocks along this wall. We're able to fill out the entire section, but we need the soul sand for that. But once we're ready for that, I'll show you how that's done. But I'm just going to pop out of this for a moment, and I'm going to bring up Excel. See, is it kelp blocks? Yep. So this is the wrong sheet. This is how many blocks that we actually need to build this system. So you see, you need pistons, observers, and just redstone on its own. Each module requires one of these. And we have, well, each side is 50, but we're going to say 100 for the whole thing. And there are 6 rows in each of that. So to build this entirely, you will need redstone, 37 stacks and 32 loose. You will need 9 stacks of iron and 24 loose. So basically you need 10 stacks of that. Cobblestone, you're looking for 94 stacks. Quartz, you'll need 10 stacks. Planks, you will need 29 stacks, which works out at approximately 6 stacks of logs with 60 left over. But I think there's a problem with my calculation there, because I was 20 short. So if you just plus 20 to that, and then you'll get you should have enough to build it. If you want to build it this size, you can just build it as a small little block. You don't need this mammoth size that we're going to build it at. Turns out we've got all this in here. What we're going to do is, though, we're going to take the fuel that is waiting for us here. We're going to take a whole inventory's worth of it, as much as we can carry, and we're going to take it and we're going to dump it into the kelp line. And only the kelp line for now. We'll not worry about this section. We'll fill that up manually. Right, which side is the fuel? Yep, that's the fuel line. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put all of this in here, because what we're going to do is, whilst we work, we are going to there we go, is that draining? Yep, that's draining. So we're going to let that fill up with as much as it can carry, and we're going to actually turn this on. So this is going to probably produce a fair bit of lag as we work, but it should be alright. The override is on. Right, let's flick that on, and hopefully, if all goes according to plan, in about 15 seconds, this line should light up. Possibly. Oh, here we go. There we go. Right, so that is going to just crack on with smelting that 73,000 blocks that we had. Once all that is compressed down, that will give us 127 stacks. Now, to smelt all of this, based on the kelp block working for approximately 21 items before it burns out, that will take 55-ish blocks, 55 stacks of fuel to process all of that, but it will leave us with 73 approximately. So we will get more out of the system than what we put in, and we should have enough to fill everything. Tell you what, let's go and take this, and we're going to dump this little lot into the system normally, and this lot can be distributed wherever it wants to go across either side. So that'll go on both sides of the system, and we might as well leave that to do its thing. Right, so now we're going to go downstairs, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to deactivate part of the alarm. We've still got some kelp blocks in there. Tell you what, we'll just put those in there for now. We will take all of the pistons, all the observers, and all of the redstone for now. And what we'll do is we'll pop back down to the lower level. And yes, I've got my pickaxe. So that we can work, so that it doesn't drive us crazy, we're going to find out where the alarm line is. Ah, there it is. So what, we'll just do that, and there we go. That's done, and that means that all these little channels here are now deactivated, so we can build without having to worry. Don't worry about these blocks here. These are just so that I can help me jump up to each level. Now, each of these kelp modules are really easy to build. Let's just get a shot of that for a moment. All you have to do, I tell you what, I'll do just these two modules here, and then I'll do all the rest off camera, just because it'll take a little while. So we have our space here, which is where our kelp's going to go. It's also going to be where our soul sand is going to temporarily be placed. But all you're doing is you're placing one of those there. I should have really put these properly in my inventory. You want a dab of redstone at the back, and then you want an observer, so you have to come behind it so that the red dot is facing us, and that's that. And once that's on there, that will fire off, and you know that's connected. So what I'm going to do now is, I can't really get up there, can I? I'll just hop up here and I'll show you an example from the next level. So we'll get that there. Of course, by that point there'll be a full row to go on. So we're going to put that in there, and if I can get up there, yep. And then I'll put a dab of redstone and that there. And it'll be just a case of repeating that, except we're going to go along each of these rows, which I'm going to do now, because it'll probably take me about 15 minutes, I would say, probably, just to get everything in here, because I'm going to go each block by each block each time. So if you join me a couple of minutes, and we'll get this built. Okay, everybody, that is that all done. All of our kelp, well, the places where our kelp is going to go is now all in place, and next I'm going to start the soul sand, which is going to make filling with water a doddle. So let's hop back over to our box. See that the system is still clicking away there. Yeah, you see that it's slowly ticking through. We must have quite a bit of it upstairs already. Let's grab our soul sand. Just so that we can get in and out easy, I've put just a little hole in here. We'll probably use this to swim in and out as well, because once all the water's in, we'll then have to place all the kelp in. But temporarily, because we're going to have to dig all of this out, in fact, because this stuff's really slow, let's go to the bottom and work back. What this will do is it will create a water column pushing up, which will convert all the flowing blocks into water source blocks, which will save us a lot of time, because it is very awkward to fill up any volume of water on the Bedrock edition. So there we go, that is the next stage complete. All the blocks here, all the soul sand is in place, and that will be where the kelp will be growing, because once the water is in place, we then have to dig all of that out. It seems a bit long, but it will make our life a hell of a lot easier down the line. So if we just head back to our box now, just get away from the constant clicking there. Let's pop these in here, and next we need to build a platform out of these dirt blocks. And we need to build the platform one below where the source blocks are going to go. So that will be here. So this is at the same level. Actually, what we're doing, it's one below that. So it should be at the same level as our. We've got our shovel. Yes, we do. So this will be at the same level as our hoppers, and what we need to do now is simply build that all the way to the other end. So this will take a few minutes. And same again, all this will need to be removed once we're ready, but it is a lot easier doing it this way than what it is trying to fill this these empty spaces with water. I tried doing it in a blank world to see how would be the best method, and it involved having to have multiple layers to go underwater and put water above. It was ridiculously time consuming and didn't work entirely. Okay, so now we have our dirt layer in. Just drop down there. I've temporarily turned off the kelp farm because I thought whilst we're breaking these blocks they will flow into here, and I don't want anything interfering with it. You see that it's already flushed through quite a few of these, so this is where it's up to at the moment. So it's just in line with this block. That's convenient. What we're going to do now is we're going to put all of our water source blocks along this back wall, and hopefully we won't get pushed away too often. One thing I've noticed as well, just for thinking about water, since the Phantom update, water has changed. If you're in the ocean, you can see quite far, but if you're in a smaller area, such as what we've got here, if I go underneath, you can't see anything. It's just all blue murky, and that goes for the river just outside our base. But if you're in the deep ocean, you're all right. It still displays where you can see quite a distance in front of you. And there we go, that's all of our source blocks in. Now let's just make sure that this is going to work. I'm hoping that things are going to go in here without any hassle. So let's just go all the way to the end, and we will throw a bucket, and yes, that gets, it was this line here, wasn't it, where we're at? Yep, so that's brilliant, that works. So now our next task is going to be to remove all the soil. We will head back over here because I only have iron tools left. As I said, we had a massive catastrophe and we lost all of our tools. As I said, this has been a really expensive build, so I went on a mining expedition for all of our redstone for it. I had almost an entire inventory of redstone, multiple stacks of diamonds, everything, every tool that we could possibly need, loads of ores. It had been a really successful trip. I actually mined a 2x2 channel. If we just go here, see the stairs down to the lava lakes. If you go down there, there's another corridor which goes across here, and then I dug a 2x2 all the way here for 2,500 blocks. I had so much resources. I was crossing a canyon and there was a skeleton which shot me off into lava. I went back to see if there was anything left. There wasn't, and at which point it shot me back into the lava and we lost another set of diamond tools. And this happened multiple times. We just couldn't win, so we lost virtually all of our good tools. But here we go. I've just got rid of that here. See, there's a few updates happening down there as the water comes down. And what we should see in a moment is the soul sand activate and start pushing up. Hopefully. We might need a few more blocks active first. Let's just catch our breath in here for a moment. Ooh. Right, so something went weird there. Ooh, we're getting pushed into the inside of soul sand blocks. Right, we're going to have to hop along. I didn't know It's probably because we're moving so slow in the water flow. But what we're going to do next is we're going to activate a few more of these channels and see what happens. Ah, there we go. You see, it's starting to work now. It just needed more than one channel activated, which is fine. Okay, everybody, now the soul sand needs to come out. You'll see now that it's in there. The bubbles are rather sporadic, but that's obviously because they're getting cut off every now and again by the pistons. I should have really moved our... what's it called? Just have a look there. There's still some more soil coming up. We should have really brought our conduit over here, but never mind. It's too late for that now. We're just going to have to deal with this. I shouldn't have really come down straight into the water either. You see, the random points will get pushed up. And here we go. Now, what I've realised as well is when I did the other side, I took out all of the redstone, didn't I? So this is going to be incredibly difficult, I think, for us to do. I've got out my old diamond pick shovel. This is the last one. Oh, this is going to be fun, isn't it? Let's try that again. Once we get this bottom row out, it should be a little bit easier. Oh dear. Let's get out of here. Ooh. Okay, that was a complete catastrophe. We died 3 times getting the soul sand out. And then I remembered we had some aquatics gear, so we put some respiration on one of our helmets. Next step is putting all the kelp in. And this should hopefully be a nice, easy task. We're just going to have to go along and place each block. So there we have it, everybody. The kelp farm is now complete. I should have really left the redstone, the redstone dust until last, because it was incredibly difficult, and we died several times in the water there. You see, we've lost all of our levels again. We're now back to level 3. And what we're going to do at the minute is I'm going to override the shutdown just for a few minutes so we can see it working. I've actually turned back on the smelter. You'll see as well at the back there the alarm is still going. I've turned the alarm back on. We're going to quickly hop down here over our walkway, and we're going to hop down into this little maintenance area. And what we're going to do is, this line here is the shutdown line. I'll tidy this area back up into here as well at some point. This is our chasm that we're digging down to the bottom, but now it's been used up entirely by the kelp farm. Let's hop back up to the top. And if we come along here, we'll go to the other end so we can see it. You see, bloody hell, there's already loads of kelp coming up, and that's only after a few seconds since we turned that on. But at the minute, it will just keep producing more and more. You see, there's still some built up there, but that's obviously because those hoppers are completely full, and it'll take a moment for them to empty. I don't think this would ever stop our super smelter. I think it would just continuously go and go. I might actually take chunks of this out and put it into the other side of the super smelter as well, just to get as many of it through as possible. But you'll see, just by looking at it here, it's continuously producing mass amounts of kelp. And as I say, this is all just going to feed through into our super smelter. It would, of course, when that flashing light comes on, it would stop. But yeah, this is an incredibly efficient system. I mean, technically we will never be short of food or fuel again. The only problem is, of course, the kelp doesn't give you that much when you eat it. It's not like the potatoes, which has been our main source of food. Yeah, see, you just see as well there, every now and again it flows down, but it does come back up, and you see it goes back into there. I'm going to leave this running for a little bit, and I'll update in the next episode just to say whether or not it does actually, if the alarm goes off, it means that it's producing at a slower rate than what we can get through our smelters, which will be good because it means that we can catch up. But yeah, the minute I say the alarm's going off for the full kelp buffer, we'll go back up here and we'll take a look in our smelter. Actually, let's see how much has been produced so far. Oh, crikey. So we're already on to our second double chest of items, which means that there's one hopper that's also full. But let's go through to our smelter. Of course, if it was using both sides, we'll get this twice as fast, but I want to keep this side here just for the either items that we choose or items that that come up from the kelp farm, and this side here will be kept so we can use that for whatever we want. If we dump anything in these top boxes here, of course, that means it flows to both of them. But if we just want to do something for ourselves, we can just come through this door, and so you've got the fuel line, and that's the to smelt line that's in there. Hopefully this is going to work out all right. Is there anything that looks like... Oh, well, see, that's got 21 in, that's got 1. Right, so there is still timing issues with this one. I think we're just going to have to give up on that and just accept the fact that it does work, it's just not very efficient. Majority of all the others will be fine, but this first one here, for whatever reason, is going to get hammered, and no matter what I do to try and block it an extra level, nothing I do locks it in place. No, it's going to have to require more and more investigation. I wonder if we just maybe extend that line out by 1 up here as well to lock that hopper again, and maybe just extend this by 1 block over to here and lock it here, and maybe just extend that by 1 more. We'll extend everything. We'll just bring everything along here just a little bit. Actually, I shouldn't have to take that one any further because there's nothing else for it to block. But we will try and block. Which one? See, this one's the fuel line, so the fuel line seems to be alright, it's just the item line. So I would have thought that would have blocked it. Right, we'll have to maybe build it out to that block, but we'll do an experiment with that later. Today's episode is just about the kelp farm. And that incredibly annoying alarm. Let's just knock that off. There we go. And then back down here. See, if we look at it here, you can see it's producing a massive amount. Let's take a screenshot of that. So we're still getting absolutely loads in. Let's see if it's going down anywhere. How many of these has it gone back by? Nope, they're still full. And let's see, it was up to here when we were working. Oh, still got soul sand in there. Let's grab that. Anything else in any of these before we move on? Nope. That was the missing soul sand block. Forgot about that. So let's see, it was on this line here when we... So it's pretty much just here. In all that time since we turned it on, it has only absorbed 1 stack because this is continuously filling up. I don't think it would ever stop filling up, to be honest. I think this will just keep going and going and constantly producing more and more, which is why we've got to put the shutdown in it, which I'm now going to rewire so that the Super Smelter has a chance to cope and make these, how many did we say there? What's on my chart there? There we've got 73,000 blocks will come through the system. But we'll reconnect this up so that it shuts down. There we go. That's the kelp farm shut down, so that the smelter has a chance to cope. So you see all the pistons have been extended. Oops. So there we go, that was our kelp farm. I hope you all enjoyed that. Don't forget to rate, comment, favourite and subscribe. Check out more episodes, because we've had a few episodes on our Super Smelter upstairs, just with the different stages of building it. Next time I think we're going to do something relaxing, and I think we'll just do some basic farming. And also as well, we don't have any resources left to build anything, so we're going to have to do quite a few mining sessions to try and get us back up with plenty of supplies. So don't forget to rate, comment, favourite and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.